They said it was just a trend, a scam, a game for tech nerds. But today, it's worth trillions of dollars, shaking governments, banks, and the very meaning of money itself. This is the story of cryptocurrency. Imagine this. A teenager in his bedroom, bored one summer, puts a few dollars into a strange digital coin he barely understands. Years later, he's a millionaire. But on the other side of the world, a father invests his family's entire life savings into the same dream, only to lose it all. This isn't fiction. This is cryptocurrency, a mysterious invention that started as an experiment and grew into a movement challenging the very meaning of money. But how did we get here? How did something invisible, just code on a screen, become one of the most powerful forces on Earth? Stay with me, because this journey will change the way you see money forever. The story begins in 2008. The world was collapsing. Banks that seemed untouchable were failing. Stock markets crashed. Families watched their homes taken away. Jobs vanished overnight. And in the middle of this chaos, millions realized an uncomfortable truth. Your money isn't really yours. It's just a promise controlled by someone else. When the financial system began to crumble, governments did what they always do. They printed more money. But printing money doesn't solve the problem, it weakens it. It makes every dollar in your pocket worth a little less. This was the moment when trust in the traditional system hit rock bottom. And out of the shadows appeared a mysterious figure, Satoshi Nakamoto. No one knew who Satoshi really was. A man? A woman? A team of programmers? Even today, no one knows. But Satoshi had an idea. A new kind of money. Money that couldn't be printed endlessly. Money that couldn't be frozen or manipulated by banks. Money that lived entirely on the internet, beyond anyone's control. And so, in January 2009, the very first Bitcoin block was created. Hidden inside was a secret message, a silent protest against the broken financial system. The Times 03/Jan/2009 Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. This wasn't just computer code. It was a statement, a rebellion, a digital revolution, the birth of decentralized money. At first, Bitcoin was worthless. Just lines of code on a computer screen. No banks supported it. No government backed it. No store accepted it. To most people, it was just another weird tech experiment. But in 2010, something remarkable happened. A programmer named Laszlo Hanyecz, living in Florida, decided to see if Bitcoin could be used in the real world. So he went online and made an unusual offer. I'll give 10,000 Bitcoins to anyone who can get me 2 pizzas. A fellow Bitcoin enthusiast agreed. They ordered 2 large pizzas from Papa John's and had them delivered to Laszlo's door. In exchange, Laszlo sent 10,000 Bitcoins. At the time, it was worth about $41. It was the very first real-world Bitcoin transaction. Today, those same 10,000 Bitcoins are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Yes, 2 pizzas became one of the most expensive meals in history. But more importantly, that moment proved something huge. Bitcoin wasn't just a theory anymore. It wasn't just magic internet money. It had real-world value. For the first time, someone traded digital currency for something tangible. And from that tiny, almost silly transaction, whispers began to spread. Could this strange internet money really be the future of money itself? Fast forward to 2017. Something unbelievable happened. Bitcoin, which had been worth just a few dollars for years, started climbing and climbing and climbing. In a matter of months, it went from a few $100s to nearly $20,000 for a single coin. The world went into a frenzy. Headlines screamed about overnight millionaires. A Norwegian student who had casually bought $27 worth of Bitcoin later discovered it was now worth over $800,000. A teenager in New York invested his summer savings into Ethereum, another cryptocurrency, and by the time he graduated high school, he was worth over $1 million. It felt like a modern-day gold rush. People who had never invested in anything suddenly became crypto traders. New coins popped up everywhere: Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, each promising to change the world. Crypto exchanges opened, making it easy for anyone to buy with just a smartphone. Social media was flooded with screenshots of massive gains. Stories spread like wildfire. My friend bought Bitcoin and now he's rich. It was the ultimate get-rich-quick dream. But here's the thing about gold rushes. They attract not just dreamers, but also danger. Because with every surge, there's always a crash waiting around the corner. And when it came, it would hit hard. But just as quickly as it rose, it all came crashing down. The same year Bitcoin hit nearly $20,000, it began to collapse. In weeks, the price plunged. Billions of dollars vanished from the market almost overnight. And with it, the dreams of millions. Stories of heartbreak surfaced everywhere. Families who had remortgaged their homes to buy Bitcoin at the peak watched their savings evaporate. Investors who believed in shady new coins fell victim to scams known as rug pulls, where creators hyped a coin, took people's money, and disappeared without a trace. Even the supposedly safe crypto exchanges weren't immune. Massive hacks drained millions of dollars from users' accounts in minutes. For some, it was just numbers on a screen. For others, it was their entire future gone. Crypto was no longer just exciting. It was dangerous. And yet, despite the chaos, despite the losses, it didn't die. But because for many, it wasn't only about making money. It was about the idea behind it. A world where you don't need banks. A world where you control your own wealth. Even after the crashes, after the scams, after the heartbreak, the belief in cryptocurrency still burned. Because some people saw it not as a failure, but as the beginning of something much bigger. Cryptocurrency wasn't just about getting rich. It was about an idea. A philosophy that questioned the very foundation of the financial system. In the traditional world, you are forced to trust someone. A bank to hold your money. A government to protect its value. A middleman to process every transaction. But what happens when that trust is broken? That's where blockchain changed everything. Imagine a giant digital ledger. A record book that anyone can see, but no one can secretly change. Every transaction is written on it, permanently. No hidden edits. No corruption. No manipulation. This meant you didn't have to trust a single person or institution. You could trust the math. Trust the code. For people living under oppressive regimes, where governments can freeze your bank account overnight, crypto became freedom. For the 1.7 billion people in the world with no access to banks, it became hope, a way to store and send money without permission. It wasn't just an investment. It was a movement, a way to take control of your own wealth, to move beyond borders, beyond politics, beyond traditional power. For the first time in history, money wasn't just created by governments. It was created by the people, for the people. A true revolution of trust. But cryptocurrency didn't stop at being just money. It began to evolve beyond anything people imagined. It wasn't only about sending and receiving digital coins anymore. It became about ownership. Take NFTs, for example. For centuries, artists needed galleries, agents, or companies to sell their work. But with NFTs, non-fungible tokens, artists could sell their creations directly to anyone in the world, with proof of ownership locked on the blockchain. A simple digital drawing could now be sold for millions. Then came DeFi, decentralized finance. Normally, if you want a loan, you go to a bank. If you want to earn interest, you trust a savings account. But DeFi flipped the system. It let anyone lend, borrow, and earn interest, without banks, without permission, without borders. And then it went even further. Entire digital worlds began to appear. Places like Decentraland and the Sandbox, virtual cities where people could buy land, build businesses, and trade items, all using cryptocurrency. A plot of virtual land, something you can't even touch, was sold for millions of dollars. From gaming to art to finance, crypto wasn't just a currency anymore. It was building an entirely new digital economy. But with every new possibility came new questions. If money, art, and even land can all go digital, what does the future really look like? But as cryptocurrency grew, so did the conflict. Governments started to take notice. Some embraced it, others feared it. Countries like China banned cryptocurrency trading completely. Others began creating their own digital currencies, centralized versions of crypto designed to keep control in government hands. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's price kept rising and falling like a roller coaster. One week it created millionaires. The next week, it left those same people with nothing. For some, crypto is the future of finance, a tool that can free humanity from corrupt systems, giving power back to the people. For others, it's the greatest bubble of our time, a dangerous gamble that will eventually burst, leaving millions in ruins. And the truth? No one really knows. Will crypto replace traditional money? Will governments kill it with regulation? Or will it evolve into something far bigger than we can even imagine? What we do know is this: cryptocurrency has already changed the world. It has changed how we see money, how we see trust, and how we see power. And its story is far from over. Because right now, as you're listening, somewhere, someone is becoming a crypto millionaire. And somewhere else, someone is losing everything. The question is, what side of history will you be on? Right now, as you're listening, somewhere, someone is becoming a crypto millionaire. And somewhere else, someone is losing everything. Crypto is not just money. It's a choice. It's a risk. It's a question about who we trust. So I'll ask you this: do you trust the old system? Or do you trust the new one? If this journey opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.